So I did a video about shortcuts and why they're really not shortcuts. And one of the most popular things for people to not want to do is tapping your foot when you play. It's been such a helpful, tremendous tool for me in getting better at rhythm, learning how to count rhythm, knowing when I'm supposed to play on a specific beat. And if you watch nearly any professional musician, when they're on stage, they're either tapping their foot, they're nodding their head, they're doing something to help them stay in time with the beat. And I notice myself, whenever I am on stage, when I'm doing band practice, if I'm recording, if I'm not tapping along to where that downbeat is, my rhythm's never as solid. So even if you think your rhythm is spot on, there's a very good chance that if you're not tapping along with it, it's not as solid as you think it is. And recording stuff and listening back to the recording, especially with everything being digital nowadays, you can actually look at the waveform of how you played versus where it's supposed to line up with the downbeat. And you'd probably be surprised just how off time you can be if you don't know how to tap your foot along to the beat. So, some things to keep in mind as to, well, why should I tap my foot when I play? Well, like I mentioned, it will help you stay in time with the song much better. So take a live situation, for example. Now, a lot of bands now are starting to play with click tracks, and one of the bands I'm in, actually two of the bands I'm in, have click track stuff that we play too, because there's a lot of backing tracks that get played through the PA system. But for another band that I'm in, we don't use click track. We do it the old-fashioned way, where the drummer sets the tempo and we follow the drummer. So if you don't learn how to tap your foot and follow the drummer, what's going to happen when the drummer gets excited and plays part of the song 10, 20 beats a minute faster than normal? What if the drummer decides to count off the song at a different tempo than what you usually do? Maybe he's going to count it off slower than normal. If you don't lock into what that count is, you're going to be off. You're going to be going on muscle memory on how fast you think it should be. But once the drummer changes the tempo, when you're on stage, it's going to be very noticeable that you got off. I like how one person put it. I don't remember who said it, but it makes a lot of sense. You can hit a wrong note on stage, and no one's really going to notice. But if you get off rhythm on stage, everyone is going to hear it, because it's already loud and it's kind of hard to really distinguish note from note, especially if anything fast or if the crowd doesn't even know what your music is. But if you're playing in time, then it sounds okay. But as soon as you get off rhythm, everything just sounds terrible. So it doesn't matter if you're playing guitar, it doesn't matter if you're playing bass, any instrument at all, even vocalists. I mean, if you watch Bruce Dickinson, he's always tapping his foot along on so much stuff. And because vocalists need to know where the beat is too, because they need to know when to come in. And some stuff, a lot of rhythm is not all that straight ahead. And I just forgot I'm in drop D. Well, I'll use that anyway. So, a lot of stuff might just have you doing, just straight ahead stuff. But what if you have to do something like... So right there, as hopefully you heard, there's a lot of spacing that I put in on a lot of that stuff. So that's another reason why you want to tap your foot, learn how to count your rhythms, because if you want to do really complex music, really progressive stuff, there's probably going to be a lot of times when you want to play complex rhythms and have a lot of gaps and stuff. And you need to be able to know how long that gap lasts. You don't want to make guesses, especially if you're going to go on stage and play this stuff. You definitely don't want to guess, because when you come in when nobody else is there, it's going to be really obvious. Same thing with recording. I mean, yeah, you can fix a lot of stuff in the mix, but it's, you know, do you really want to have the producer fix all your mistakes? Or would you rather play it correctly? And, you know, just, of course, I would want to play it correctly, because, you know, I mean, yeah, you can just play pretty much whatever and then fix it in the mix, but it still never really sounds as good as you playing it properly anyway. So, you know, and what I think my favorite excuse that I ever got on why a student didn't want to tap his foot while he played was, he said, I'm not good at multitasking. That's what it was. I'm not good at multitasking. Well, when you're playing a guitar, you're always multitasking, because your right hand's doing something and your left hand, all these fingers are doing something. So you're already multitasking. I mean, you don't have to be a drummer to be able to use your foot when you play. A lot of people say, oh, this is why I'll never be a drummer and all this stuff. Like, you know, it's the same as any instrument. It's going to be very awkward and weird and difficult at first, but it gets easier. It gets easier. So please take my word for this. Learn how to tap your foot. It's going to make your playing so much better, so much tighter, and make things so much easier all down the road. Learn to tap now, even if it's difficult. I promise it will get easier. You just stick with it. Be persistent with it, and it's going to get so much easier. Tap your foot when you play is a huge payoff. I promise. Huge payoff. And if you have any questions with this or anything else, please send me an email. Thank you for watching.